inspirational dramas and more. We broadcast the gospel with signs and wonders, reflecting the will of God daily. Our audience also enjoys local, national and international news. With Mercy Media, your business is already a success.
Hello and welcome to Say to Mercytv. Now, call your friends, neighbors, call everyone that is within your social media networks and tell them that Mercytv, Say It to Mercytv is on. You don't want to miss today's program. It's going to be very exciting. You're going to have a lot of exciting information. In fact, get your notepad, get your pen ready, get yourself ready to be educated, because we are in the house with a son, Kongami Niboto. He's going to be helping our country, our people, our viewers, everybody about solutions that will help us to solve every problem. You know what? You didn't get it right. I mean every problem. He's going to be talking about how to use the brain in its full capacity. Neurologic tragedy is what Africa is suffering from. And he's going to decipher certain facts and truths that will help us to be able to understand that we can actually solve our problems if we apply all the efforts that are required. He knows how to put those words into perspective. Let us waste no time and welcome Konga on the program. This is Say It to Mercytv. Tell us about your method of approach using the neural cells into implementing successful outcomes.
Thank you so much, Dad. Thank you for this privilege given me again to be on this panel with you. For me, I count the privilege having access to you and having the platform with you. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I like our audience to know that every problem that comes from the human being can be solved with the brain. Every problem that exists on the entire universe, with limitations to natural disasters, with which it can also be mitigated with the brain. So all problems can be solved. Just all we need is to actually acknowledge the fact that the brain is the most complex property on the entire universe, and therefore has solutions to the problems. What we need is not degree. What we need is not PhD. What we need is to how to discover the use of the brain to its maximum capacity on the entire universe, so we underutilize its content. Neuroscientists and researchers have discovered that if you actually and genuinely, the human, want to use the contents of the brain to its fullest capacity, then that human should be able to live on planet Earth for a period of 3 million years, which is not possible. So that's how complex the brain is. So the brain is complex and has solutions. So now, if we want to provide solutions to problems, like infrastructural problems, we have to begin from foetus. Set the process for learning from foetus.
For the purpose of those who do not quite understand the language level, foetus is birth, right?
Yes.
So, you know, just break it down, because not everybody will understand the scientific languages. So some people say, well, when you are in your mother's belly, that's what foetus is.
Right.
Okay.
So the process for development holistically begins in the womb. It begins in the womb. Now, the development process for the brain, researchers try to search to discover what happens in the brain when the baby is developing. 6 months, the true light in the womb, and discovered there was no reaction. 6 months, 1 week, they threw light, there was no reaction. 6 months, 2 weeks, they threw light, and there was reaction, which indicates the baby begins to see 6 months, 2 weeks in the mother's womb. They threw sound, the baby reacted. So, which means the baby hears 6 months, 2 weeks. So 6 months, 2 weeks indicates that learning begins, vision begins. 6 months, 2 weeks. That's the most sensitive period for successful living or a life in poverty. That's the most sensitive period for a life in stress, depression, poverty. That's the most sensitive period for a life in health, zest, exuberance, maximum productivity. Depending on the stimulus our parents offer, that is, the thought patterns of the parent, external factors. For example, if the mother that carries the baby is a teacher and continues teaching after 6 months, 2 weeks, the baby begins to hear whatever she's teaching. So neural connections begin to happen in the brain. There will come a time, one of these days, that will be presenting on Say It to Mercy TV. We'll be showing slides on the screen,
Okay.
for our people to learn more. So you'll really be able to digest what we are saying. So I'll show the development process of the brain on the screen for our people to see
Okay.
how the brain of the size is when it's 2 weeks, when it's 6 months, when it's between 6 months and 8 months. See the brain, how it develops and how connections happen in the brain. Every vocabulary released make connections in the brain.
Okay.
Every vocabulary by the mother. The thought pattern to bond with their children. Ethics affect. So then parents need to be knowledgeable. Parental bonding is a relevant factor for successful living or a life in depression and dependence. So if parents are not aware that the most sensitive period for learning is fetus from pregnancy, birth until age 7. If they are not aware, that period will be wasted.
But this is a very interesting conversation that you are now bringing. Now this stimulates this conversation to another level, and that
Speak. The baby begins to speak exactly what he or she acquired from the parent. And interprets those feelings by her own feeling or his own feeling. So this is why, if you check the exposure of developed nations, their children will be able to ask you, "Hello dad, how are you? I hope you're okay. Dad, why you sit here like this?" Because dad invested that many years ago.
Yeah.
"Hi honey, how are you doing?" It's not common here. Our people think the neurologic tragedy hinged on the colonial concept and servitude. They think, "I am the father." Everybody should agree. Neuro is N-E-U-R-O, means brain. Brain. Plasticity means plastic content. So the brain is like a plastic.
Can expand and
When
contract.
you put under pressure, it will change form,
Okay.
shape, and size.
Okay.
And it will lose the things per time that's not useful. So a plastic, when you put really under fire, it loses some content.
Okay. Can the brain contract?
Yes. The brain can contract depending on the stimuli.
Okay.
The brain can expand depending on the stimuli. Yes. So depending on the stimuli given. So now you want someone that has grown big to change an attitude from negative to positive. You stimulate the environment. Do cognitive shifting. Now, create the venue for the person to discover the reason why you want him to change attitude. Give him a reason to see it positive. That's cognitive shifting. Give him a reason to see it positive and drive towards that. Not just say imposing.
So essentially, what you feed the brain is what the brain assimilates.
It's what the brain assimilates and empowers the coordination in the brain to pass the information to the spine for the body to be subjectified to action. So it's when the left brain, the right brain cell system, the central nervous cell system, the brain stem, and are in coordination.
Position from the thought pattern, from the brain mechanism, now transcend into the body. Explain to us, because you talk about the brain and then transportation from the brain to the spine. So give us some analogy of how does that happen.
Now, creativity is neurologic.
Okay.
Non-creativity is neurologic. Depression is neurologic. So it's our thought patterns.
Okay.
Now, our left part of us is what sees problem and analyze problems. The right part of us is what is supposed to, in coordination with the prefrontal cortex, which is here, to prefer solutions to problems.